What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the latest episode of Real Estate Uncensored. As always, this is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate business into a life of freedom. We've got not only an awesome guest here today who's going to talk about playing the long game for long-term success, but we also have, as always on our Friday episodes, the evil bald ninja himself, Gene Volpe, with a social media and or tech marketing tip of some kind. We don't really know what he's going to say. Actually, we really never know what he's going to say, which is part of the fun of why we enjoy having him on the show. So we'll get to him in a second. But first, as always, in the co-pilot seat, the junior grandmaster is here. Greg McDaniel. Greg, what's up today?
Whoop, whoop. What up, player? Hey, man, it's a Friday afternoon. I am in a good mood. I have some of my favorite peeps here in the house. Dan, Matt, and I were laughing our tail feathers off on pre-show to the point where I think I even got a nose pinch from Matt even before the show started. So I'm in a great mood. But in all honesty, I got this envelope in the mail the other day, and it has a nice little note in the back that says it took forever to get here. But I have my friend. She wrote me this thank you letter, right? And she has really nice handwriting. Really nice handwriting. I mean, I don't know if this is printed or what, but this is fantastic. And this is what it reads: Dearest Greg, thank you for always taking the time out of your day to respond to me while asking nothing in return. Your kindness and effortless mentorship has meant a great deal to me. I have sent this to you to show my genuine gratitude for your time and all that you do, not only for myself, for all of those that wait eagerly for you to go online and go live. I hope you enjoy it as much as I have enjoyed sending it to you. And she sent me this. It's a very, very nice wood case that has an elastic band around it. Whoops, come here, you. Elastic band around it, so I can put my credit cards in here and money, and it won't take up a lot of space. And it has a nice little saying. This nice little card has a nice little saying on it, right? And it says, "People don't desire what they can purchase. They lust for what they can experience." And I was like, damn, girl. All right, Veronica, you nailed it on the head. So thank you, Veronica. This really meant the world to me. This is such a kind gesture. And Matt, you and I have been doing this show for 3 years, 3 years and almost 4 months at this point of this recording. And it is amazing the incredible listeners that we have. I mean, I have a box of Cohibas on my desk. I have custom coasters with our brand of our show on my desk. And that's really it. I don't have anything more. But it was a really good long list.
That's not true. You have also custom logo beach towels.
Yes.
So anytime you go to the pool. Thank you, Monica Weekly, for that, Coach Monica.
God, those are.
But yes, we have the most amazing listeners, viewers, and guests.
Yes.
That was because in that particular case, that was a guest.
It was a guest, but Gene came in with his hair on fire, and he's complaining about bad drivers. So I can't wait to hear his rant on bad drivers. So, Gene, do tell, my dear friend.
No, I'm changing this up completely because as you were going through that card, I was digging one out too. And so this one, somehow, Greg, I don't know if people get us confused, but this one, it says Greg McDaniel, but it came to my address. And it says, and I quote, "Greg, you are the father," signed anonymous. So I just figured I'd pull that out and let you know. That's what I got. I don't know. So.
You've ruined my Friday, you dick.
Signed Maury Povich. Oh, man, that's awesome. Gene, I love you so much.
I knew you'd like that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, well, let's bring in, before we get too silly, let's bring in our special guest because we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Dan Trinidad of Partners Mortgage. Dan, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
So, Dan, you and I, you came into my world through Matt Aitchison, who a lot of the viewers of the show might know or should know. If you don't already, if you're not familiar with Matty A, he is the host of the Millionaire Mindcast, which is a podcast that he hosts all about how to develop millionaire mindset and habits. Matty A is a former partner in a real estate team, kind of up in your neck of the woods, Dan. So I think you and he connected and a part of the same mastermind and kind of that same GoBundance, One Life Fully Lived kind of tribe of folks. The Chris Lockhead and Tim Rode and Pat Hyben, a lot of those guys are all part of that. So you're kind of in that circle. That's how you and I met. But kind of share with people a little bit more about your background, where you're coming from, what you do now.
Okay, so I grew up in the Bay Area, went to college down in UC Irvine, played baseball. That was my 100% goal, was to be a professional baseball player. That ended quickly. And moved back up to the Bay Area and worked for a savings and loan as a loan officer. And then 4 years later, started Partners Mortgage, which is now almost 30 years old. Mortgage broker, early mortgage banker in 1995. Then in 2008, when the economy collapsed, I was also had the challenge of losing my wife of 23 years to leukemia. That was something that you obviously never planned for, and adjusting to that. And now, kind of a new world of business. I'm getting thrown into social media, and I'm just passionate about growing my business in a completely different way.
Yeah, which is awesome. And you get invited to speak a lot on kind of the topics that we're going to talk about today: balance and really playing the long game, making sure that you're building things with an eye towards what you want your future to look like. And you've got this, I want to talk about kind of your experience with coaching with Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. Like, we've got a ton of fun stuff to get into today. But I'm curious, like, let's start here with just kind of where we're at right now with the real estate mortgage industry when it comes to buyers. Those of us on the real estate side are looking at it, and we see the major change that's happened in like Zillow, Trulia, and just the online portals that have changed the way that buyers search. You guys come from the other side, in the sense that you guys are having people come directly to you as well online, but you're also getting a lot of referrals from agents. So, like, when you just look at kind of the scene in the next few years, what are you keeping your eyes out for? What do you think are the things that, if they happened, would kind of massively impact your business, and is there anything that you're planning for?
Yeah, so the market is clearly changing, just with interest rates going up and refis slowing down and going away. And to top that off, where buyers are coming from is changing a bit. So we're seeing over 50% of the business we generate start online. And I know that it's much higher than 50%, but that's where our energy and focus is going. We're purchasing leads, we're generating leads through social media, open houses, things like that, and working on giving them back to the real estate industry. I think both real estate and mortgages are in the process of being disrupted. How far it will go, I'm not sure, because it's still a people-intensive business and complicated in many ways. I don't think technology can totally take over, but the game is definitely changing.
Yeah, I mean, Greg, we're always kind of looking out, because we obviously get to talk to a lot of people that are extremely forward-thinking from inside and outside the industry. I mean, talking to guys like Jay Sammet, who do nothing but, literally disrupt entire industries. Yeah. I mean, you and I get the chance to talk to some pretty awesome people, and that's kind of the conclusion that we've come to too. Is there's all kinds of things that could happen, but I don't know that anything would really take the complication out of it, and it's the complication part of it that requires us.
Right. Yeah, it's a human-based side of it. I mean, real estate is still going to be a person-to-person, belly-to-belly, eyeball-to-eyeball business, no matter how much tech you throw into it. But it is going to dramatically shift. I think that, like with the EXP model and a lot of digital models, I think that's going to be shifting the way people do work. But it's never gonna change when Mama and Papa pull up in front of a house. They see a house, they call a number or they text or whatever the communication model is going to be. But they're going to reach out to another human being to see, hey, can I get into this house? What's your opinions? How's the neighborhood? What's going on? And as long as we know that the industry is adapting, that's one thing, right? Change is inevitable. Yeah. But do we change with it? And how do we change with it?
Well, speaking of the kind of the EXP model, is there any equivalent going on right now in mortgage, Dan, where they're cutting out like physical branch offices and moving to like virtual loan officers? I mean, I know lots of things are skipping the loan officer completely, like Rocket Mortgage, but is there anything that's just disrupting just the brick and mortar side of things?
I mean, everybody is working on going more digital. The thing we're hearing a lot about now is Keller Williams or Keller Mortgage. Yeah. And that's a lot of the dialogue going on is our real estate firm is going to try to incent their real estate agents to use their company. I think there's some RESPA concerns with that, but that's a lot of the dialogue that's taken place in our industry now. Rocket Mortgage clearly is bringing everybody to digital. But we've got a platform now that does everything that Rocket Mortgage does, but it's our loan officers doing it. And for the most part, our entire industry is going in that direction if they haven't already.
Well, I know that a lot of people, like, when Rocket Mortgage came out, a lot of people talked a mad amount of trash about it. But they did some ridiculous large amount of volume in their first month or first year or something along those lines. Has that radically shifted or changed the way mortgages are being done right now? Because, I mean, on my side, I'm not really seeing a massive shift, but it's always interesting to kind of see, you know, an insider's perspective. Like, we talked about the EXP with the Rocket. I mean, is there trembling in the industry from that you're hearing of people going, oh, shit, now what's going to happen? Are they going to take our jobs? Or are we just still going to be needed? I mean, what does that look like for you?
Well, I think that, I mean, we got to up our game. So when we're talking to potential home buyers, we've got to be asking questions that the loan officers at Quicken or Rocket Mortgage aren't asking. The loan officers are a little less experienced, more call center type loan officers, where we've just got to up our game, ask questions, and build a strong relationship with them. I think that's we're being confronted with. Oh, we saw rates at on Rocket Mortgage or on Quicken, and so we're just really having to pay, you know, a lot of attention to you know, these online lenders, but we could do the same thing.
So my shirt is very applicable for today then, right? If you're looking to buy and sell a home, you know, the top 10 things you need to do. Step 1, call me. I'll take care of the other 9. You know, it's still going to be something that we're going to be needing to do. And Gene, I mean, in the marketing side for helping all of us agents and lenders and everything else, are you starting to see a shift away from more personal relationships, more towards automation? Or, I mean, where do you see yourself and your business with this whole, like, digital, like, movement?
Well, my business wins, right? Like when I talk to real estate agents and other people, I think I actually tell them the caveat is this sucks for you. The winds of change suck for you because your job just became more difficult to get in front of your buyer, your seller, the person that needs the loan. This became better for me because you have to get better at what I do, and you're either going to do it yourself and have to get out of the business because it's taking too much time, or you're going to hire somebody like me to do it. So, but here's, you know, it's interesting. I think as we get younger, the older crowd still wants that in the foxhole, right? I want to get in your face. I want to see if you have that nice cologne on. I want to get that feel for the way you know. Did you just come out? Are you Italian? Did you just come out of your mom's house and you smell like garlic because of the meatballs? You smell
so good, Jim.
Right?
You smell that cologne is so good.
The analogy has already lost me.
Yeah, listen.
Go. Please
don't interrupt him while he's
sniffing the microphone.
Yeah, making awful sounds that I'm recording.
Oh, you've got good microphone. Yeah.
Oh, this episode will require some heavy editing.
Yes, it will. Not heavy petting, Greg. Heavy editing.
That's right.
So I think the interesting piece of it is that the younger generation, I believe, wants less hand-to-hand combat. So they, you know, the attention span is getting smaller and smaller, and their inability to socialize with people in real life is getting worse and worse. And so it becomes more of what tools do you have in place so I don't need to contact a human and talk to you quicker. So unfortunately, I think while as much as that hand-to-hand, because the good part about real estate is there's a physical attachment. You have to go see the house, right? Like you're going to live there. On the mortgage side, there's a little bit more of a challenge because I don't really need to see the loan docs. I mean, I don't need to physically see them. I can sign them online. So as a millennial, somebody younger, I feel like they're getting more into that. Like, I just want you to text me what I need to know, and I'll text you back what the answers are, and then just let me know when I can move in. And so I think it's becoming a little more challenging. It's not going to go away, obviously, but I think the need for it is becoming, unfortunately, because I'm a hand-to-hand combat guy. I want to be in your face. I want me and you to talk and sit and eat together and break bread. That's what I do. But the reality of it is that's changed a little bit.
Italians.
Damn Italians, I know.
Damn it.
That's right.
God. All this personal contact, I can't take it.
Exactly. Oh, it sounds exhausting.
Sounds exhausting. It is. You know how many man hugs I give out in a regular day?
Oh, no, I don't want to know how many man hugs you give out. Oh, that's hilarious. Well, fortunately, the good thing about man hugs is the amount of physical contact involved in the genuine man hug is limited to a 2-inch strip up and down your left arm that touches the other person's back. The rest of it's just a handshake. It's great. This is the best hugging thing that's come along for me in the last 30 years. Yeah.
I can't wait till we meet face to face.
Oh, dude.
They're
bear
going to be
hug
like,
time.
is he humping Matt Johnson? What's he doing? It's a hug? Looks like he's humping him.
Oh, my God.
Oh my
The
God.
Johnson's getting humped. The
Just
Johnson's
went
getting
out
humped.
went out with a client last night, and she brought her husband, and she went like this. My husband hates hugs. And I went, now why would you tell me that? Get over here.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's just a challenge to you.
He hates hugs? He's going to love them by the end of this night.
Yeah,
Guaranteed.
well, that's
Exactly.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, you want some popcorn? Hug it out, buddy. All right. You want dinner to play dead?
No.
Hug it out, buddy. Yeah, he's going to be like, I hate this fucking guy. This Volpe
Yes.
is the bane of my existence at this moment.
Yes.
Man touching. Hard.
man touching.
Every girl's like, what? That's good stuff. That's like the milk and honey from heaven right there. And every guy's like, shit blows, dude. Like, no touching.
Yeah.
Like, okay, no.
No touching.
Screeching
Oh,
halt.
man.
Screeching halt.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
All right, Gene. Before we forget, how do people reach out and connect with you?
I want you to tell the people in unison, in harmony.
I don't know that I can. We failed massively the last time.
Okay.
Last week you did pretty good.
I'll end it. You start it.
All right, so
Okay.
just get yourself out to Gene Volpe.
.com.
It was a little slow.
I know. I was waiting. I thought Matt was going to join in, so I was waiting
No,
waiting
you
for
said
him.
you would take care of it.
That's what she said.
All right. GeneVolpe.com. So, like you said, Gene, like as things change, as the relationships shift, right, to where people are expecting to communicate with both their agent and their mortgage loan officer online through text and through other forms of digital communication, you win because that's really where the relationship starts.
Sure.
Is with the exposure that they get online, which is the first steps towards those kinds of a relationship. And if they want that, and they don't want to have to do it themselves because that's not the best use of their time, is it? They should reach out to you.
I love the way that sounded, and your check is in the mail, my man.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Gene. So if you want to hang out, feel free. We're going to dive in with Dan. We're going to talk about playing the long game and failing and balance and all kinds of good stuff. But so Dan, I'm curious. Let's start with this one. Just a really simple question. Just what does balance mean to you? So most people, when they talk about work-life balance or life-work balance, whatever you want to talk about, they have kind of a picture in their mind of what that looks like. What's that picture for you?
Well, for me, it's being happy and being present. So when you're with your buddies, you're there. Your mind's not somewhere else. When you're at work, you're able to focus. When you're with your folks, you're able to spend time and appreciate those moments. When you're with your kids, you're focused on them. It's being present. Balance to me is taking care of your health first, your key relationships second, building everything else around that. Because I believe if you don't have your health and you don't have your solid key relationships in place, you're just going to struggle in other areas of your life.
I had this conversation with a couple of people yesterday about exactly this, and like we were talking about off air, is the fact that after some deep conversations yesterday, balance in my life is very off. It's very skewed. It's not healthy, and so a lot of them are really pushing me to move to the U.S. Virgin Islands, where I've always wanted to go live, and island life and all that kind of thing. And so, I mean, for me, that's like one of the things that might bring a lot of happiness into my life is to get down to the islands and be able to be me, a different version of me. But I think, Dan, do you find that a lot of people, Matt even explained to me off air that he might be making a move somewhere down under. When it comes to, life a little bit later, when life shifts for him. But, I mean, how many people do you see not living balance, not living their true self?
I think as you get a little bit older, you start paying attention to the things that are important generally. But I think a lot of people are way off balance. I think they're playing for today. When mistakes are made, they're overwhelmed by them. They're afraid to take risks. They're afraid to go to the Virgin Islands and live. And that stops them. Fear causes everybody to be paralyzed a bit. And my view of the long game is we're going to be here much longer than we had planned. Technology's moving quickly, and if you take care of yourself, if you believe you've only got 10 more years, going to the islands is maybe something you want to do. But if you've got a long run, It can go in all kinds of directions. I mean, it's a journey.
So Steve Harvey has one of the greatest speeches I've ever listened to, and I listen to it consistently, talking about how you have to jump. Like, and if you don't jump, your parachute will never open. If your parachute never opens, you're always going to be consistently unhappy. But if you see all these other people doing everything that they've always wanted to do, right? They jumped. They went through the pain. They went through the stress. They went through the agony. You know, Matt and I did a jump. Matt and I jumped into EXP. We jumped off a cliff, and we knew it's going to be a little bit brutal. We knew there's going to be setbacks. We knew there's going to be these different things, but we also know our parachute is going to open, and we are going to sail, and we are going to fly like eagles. But it's scary as fuck to jump off that cliff. Like, potentially moving to the islands, dude, that shit is fucking scary. Like scary. I mean, it's a complete shift. But you got the other side, exactly. If you don't jump, then you don't get to fly. Why don't people jump, Dan? I know that you jumped. I know there's been ups and downs, you know, peaks and valleys for you, but you jumped. I mean, how does that feel?
I think when you're hungry and you want something really bad, you go after it. And then if you're not doing that, you become complacent. And the longer you go with habits that aren't jumping, it becomes significantly more fearful to take that leap. But I mean, one life, one time. I mean, go after it, and who cares? I listened to a podcast by Tim Ferriss to Joe Gebbia, the founder of Airbnb, and he said his formula is SW squared plus WC equals MO, and what SW squared means, some will, some won't, plus WC is who cares equals MO, which is move on. So we're gonna fail. People are gonna reject us. So what? You know, just keep moving forward. I also think that you know, the biggest poison there is for us is regret. So you know, we could think back to our high school days or our college days. We could already have regret, but you know, when you get older, regret and resentment is a pretty brutal thing.
Dude, I had the opportunity. Go ahead. No, after you, Dan. I'm sorry.
No, I just think that you know, people are. It's much better to think, man, I did that, and I sure looked stupid doing it, but rather than, oh, I should have done that. I think not knowing what you could have accomplished or seen in the world. You know, I think regret is pretty ugly.
Dude, I had a opportunity years ago to take a massive leap of faith and fly out to another part of the country. I'd never met this chick. Flew out there. I got to hang out and meet her and hang out with her. Now she's one of my bestest friends in the world, Miss Stevie Hahn. She and I had an absolute great time. We've traveled together multiple different states, you know, and if I had not gone out and met her, I would honestly have regretted it for the rest of my life. It was scary as shit, though. But it's something that I loved doing. And I think that you've got to do it a couple of times a year. Don't you think, Dan? I mean, Matt, same thing. I mean,
or
you got to be
as often
serious.
as something drives you. I mean, the podcast for me is jumping off the cliff, starting a mortgage company, jumping off a cliff. You know, health-related things like riding a Century ride is jumping off of a cliff. You guys getting into the business when you did and becoming a real estate agent and decide at that moment in time you're taking a chance and you're going after it. I think the more committed you are, you know, if you're attached to the why, if it's really connected with you, the chances are you're going to succeed. And if you fail, then you're going to make some adjustments and keep moving forward. I mean, failure is the only way you learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and Greg, you asked me like kind of what my perspective was on like why people don't step out and stuff like that. And I think, Dan, it goes back to like not having that long-term outlook. I think if we get kind of the high school mindset, right? Like anything that's different that sticks out ends up getting, you know, the edges get sanded off. You get, you know, peer pressure. You're forced to kind of fit into a certain clique. And if you don't fit into a clique, you're an outcast, right? And some people really internalize that and they carry that approach with them for like the rest of their entire life. And I guess that's one of the advantages that I had of kind of coming from outside, like the traditional school system. I was always the outsider. I never was in a clique to begin with. And so I always had more of a long-term outlook. And I think that's helped a lot because I think the people that feel like any misstep, any failure, any public failure, anything like that, any embarrassment is just the end of the world. Of course, that's not, if they were to look back when they're 85 years old, they would realize that's ridiculous. That's insane. Like a failure at 25 or even 35 or 45, like doesn't really stop you in life. It doesn't even need to really affect you. The only problem is if you never learn from the failure and you never grow, obviously that's a problem. But in reality, like nobody remembers the embarrassment. It's not a big deal. If you end up becoming a success, it ends up actually being a great part of your story. The lower the lows, the better the turnaround story. And so I think part of it is there's trying to remember the name of the book. I just got it the other day and finished it. Anything You Want by Derek Sivers. Guys, go buy that book immediately. It's ridiculously cheap. It's ridiculously short. It takes less than an hour to read the whole thing. So it's called Anything You Want. One of the things that Derek Sivers points out is that, look, you can have anything you want in life. You just can't have everything, but that's okay because you've got a long life. I mean, we're going to live for, 70, 80, 90, who knows, 120 years if the singularity is true. We've got a lot of time. We could have 8 different careers of 5 to 10 years each. Like we don't have to do everything all at once, and that's okay. And Dan, I think that's one of the key things that you really preach and instill in people is like, hey, take the long approach, the long game. Like you don't have to do everything all at once, and it doesn't matter if you fail at one thing now. Move on to the next thing.
Yep. I got really lucky. I don't know, 15 years ago or so, where I was referred to Dan Sullivan's strategic coach, and Dan is one of the better coaches I've had in the country. He's phenomenal. And one of the things he taught was something called the life extender, and that's really had an impact on me. So, 15 years ago, he was saying he was going to live, I think it was 126. It may have even been older than that. And I kind of smiled and thought, yeah, right. And he had me do an exercise. He says, when are you going to die? And at that time, I said 84, and I don't know where that number came from. It could have been my grandparents or the average lifespan of a male. I'm not sure, but I chose 84. He says, what do you want to be doing when you're 83? And I rattled off all the things I wanted to be doing that last year. He said, so what's the likelihood that you're going to die at 84 if you're doing all those things at 83? So that opened up kind of the vision for me. And in the bigger thing is, what do you need to be doing now so you're doing those things when you're 83? And so it was taking a longer view of how you wanted life to be and practicing your daily practices now to do the things that get you there. For example, if you want to be sitting on the beach with your grandkids, loving you, you better be building a real strong relationship with your children now. That kind of thinking. And, it's carried forward now where, I do believe we're going to live a lot longer than 84. I think technology, the exponential technology is, coming at us so fast, and we're going to live to be 100, 110, and maybe beyond. And
no, I'm considering taking up smoking just to offset that effect.
Matt, I have done that for you. I smoked for 20 years, so I'll give you 10 of mine. So we'll swap out one.
Oh
one
no,
one
don't
for the other
worry.
one.
Doing the show has already knocked 10 years off my life. So
shut up.
All right, Gene, let's bring you back in because you're hanging out with us. I'm curious. I would love to know kind of what does the last year of Gene Volpe's life look like? What would you like it to look like? So it's the last year of your life. You are the evil bald ninja. You are well known throughout the world, renowned in fact for your marketing prowess.
Bourbon and bad decisions. Here we come.
Yes, cigars, and I love it. And meatballs. We were talking about meatballs. Might as well stay consistent. Truth. When Dan said that, it kind of perked me up a little bit. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know that I really sat down and thought about it like that, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I'd have to assume that I'm going to be doing some type of work. I'm not that guy that, I officially retired from corporate world, like literally on the books, retired at 31.
Wow.
And what did I do? I picked up and I work harder now than I did back then, if that was possible. So I'm not that guy. I feel like I'm going to die when I stop, and what, it's one of those things. It's like, I'm finished everything. I retire. And 2.5 months later, I would shrivel into a raisin and, fall off a cliff. So I would imagine I would be doing something like I'm doing now. But there would be a lot of fun involved, doing the things I like, eating what I want, drinking, traveling the world with the wife and the kids and seeing different places. And, I don't know. But honestly, you put me in the spot. I honestly can say I don't think I thought of it like that before. It's interesting, and I'm gonna mull that over the weekend.
Well, here's one thing I'm thinking of, because I think probably all four of us are a lot like that, in the sense that, like, we get to where we are because we have a certain, not just a work ethic, but just like that's just an expression of our personality. We want to have an impact on other people, right? And one of the things that I think it's important to keep in mind in the stage where we're at now is that our ability to help people 50 years from now is not going to be based on the tactical things of what we know now. Right. So, Gene, your ability to help and coach someone 50 years from now on marketing will not be based on what you know about, like, recording and shooting videos for YouTube. Like, YouTube might not exist 50 years from now. So one of the important things, I think, and this is why I like what Dan's talking about, is that in this stage that we're at now, the key thing to look out for is the timeless principles, the models, like what Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger talk about, those mental models that will be true 100 years from now at just as much as they're true now. And so those are the kind of things that I look out for. So I try to step away from or step above, like, the tactical level of what we have to do the things that we do now. Like, we have to do that, and there's a certain mastery there. But what I really want is I want the principles. Like, I want to be that Dan Sullivan type person that can coach into my 70s, 80s, 90s, 100s, because Dan Sullivan isn't preaching tactics. Dan understands timeless principles, right? And so he's able to coach people. Like Dan Sullivan, if he's living at age 125, will probably have 10 or 15 private coaching clients. And that could probably fund his entire retirement, because he's going to get better as a coach over the next 30 or 40 years, because he'll be refining those timeless principles even more over the next few decades. So, I just wanted to point that out. It's always important to kind of keep an eye out for those timeless things.
Can I piggyback that too?
Hmm?
In addition to doing that, I think it's also keeping an eye open to the possibility of things changing and things coming out of the woodwork that you weren't prepared for. Here's what I mean by that. 15 years ago when I was working in IT, I never thought I would be standing in front of 250 real estate agents talking about Facebook. So, but what I've done, what I did from that point allowed me to be in a position to have that opportunity and then accept it. And so I'm excited about the things that are changing and the opportunities that are going to be presented to me a little bit later today. And I'm not just talking about the buffalo wings at PJ Wheelahan's later, but the things that are presented to me that may make me shift. And I might say to you, you know what, Matt? Marketing was great, but now I just love vacuuming basements.
That's right.
I don't know.
I eagerly await that day.
That'll be a great podcast, won't it?
Vacuuming basements.
You see you wearing a nice little apron, like little pockets in the front.
Hey, listen, everybody's got their fun, man. You don't knock it. You know what I mean? But the possibility that what we're doing today can potentially present us opportunities that we're doing it at 83. That when we're at 83, we'd say, son, when I was 27, I'd never think I'd be sitting here with you doing X.
Yeah, it's true that, but that's the whole point of life. That is the spice of life. I mean, it's always shifting, always changing, isn't it? That's the point of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things. I mean, I never thought I would legitimately be saying, like, I'm really thinking about moving to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Like, I'm legitimately looking into it.
That sentence sounds strange coming out of your mouth. There's so many things I want to talk to you about later today.
No, Matt, you're cut off. You are cut off.
Oh,
Sounds more relaxed already.
I'll need a very large towel for the tears I'm about to cry this afternoon.
What keeps you from doing it, Greg?
All right, Dan, let's get
artist.
back to you. So when you, I know, it was very slick, wasn't it? So Dan, when you work with private, because you also coach, just as Dan Sullivan, you've coached with him, one-on-one, you also coach people one-on-one. A lot of the reason they come to you is to achieve that sense of balance. So in the people that you work with, where you're kind of you're removed, you have the benefit of kind of looking at their life and maybe seeing some things that they don't see. So help us all, like, what are the things that people come to you and they're looking for balance, they're looking to kind of grow their business while they also grow their life and their free time and all that stuff. What are some of the things that you help them do that maybe we tend to forget about when we're kind of in the situation of trying to grow our business?
Yeah, so that goes back to really focusing on what you got to do today. So, people have issues, too much debt, not enough money put away for the long term. People are out of shape. People aren't growing their businesses quick. And so I'm finding myself talking about taking action. And, Greg hit on something about, when you're older, he's going to be working. I'm the same way, because that's your purpose. And as soon as you don't have your purpose may change, your why may change, but if you don't have a purpose, man, it could get pretty lonely and empty. So most of the coaching that I do with the people I coach is really about setting that foundation and a game plan, and it's a compound effect. Like, Darren Hardy wrote a book, The Compound Effect, and it's just a little bit every day. And 10 years from now, you've now got money in the bank, your debt is paid off, your relationships could be stronger. I think it's a lack of action. I think it's always thinking out too far, like my marriage is going to get better next year, or I'll start saving money. I can't really right now because things are tight. I'll do that next year. And I really convince people to, start putting away money now. I show them how to start right off the top, even when they don't have it. And it's really about taking action, getting rid of procrastination. I think that's one of the bigger problems that exist with most of the people I coach.
Procrastination is a major problem. We all procrastinate in the majority of our life, and we do it in business, we do it in personal, we do it in fitness, mental, physical. Everything we do, we procrastinate, but we tell ourselves that we don't. And it's a huge problem, because imagine where we could be. I play this game with people. I say, if you could be where you want to be in 5 years, but you could be that person right now, what would that look like? And everyone's like, oh, I would be this type of guy, this type of gal, right? But we're procrastinating because we could be that person today, but guess what we have to do? We've got to put hard work in. Ooh, icky poo, that word, hard work. Ugh. Right? But time's going to pass no matter what. It's going to happen. So why not make yourself a better version of who you are today for your future self? When you do incantations, or if you do like affirmations or anything like that, and you say, I am wealthy, I am happy, I am loved, and you don't feel that right now, it's because you're sowing seeds for your future self. But people don't think about it like that because they don't feel like it right now. So then we just put it off. We kick the can down the road because that feels better, because we like to wallow in our own misery. But it's a self-defeating prophecy. It's so fucked up.
Absolutely.
It's not even funny, but we don't look at it like that. We just look at it as the norm.
Oh, that is, It is the norm. Problem with social pressure.
It's interesting. It's interesting that, you could predict somebody's future right now, 5 years from now, by what they're doing today. Most
Matt,
often,
I see you with
they're doing the
3
same
kids
thing.
that are obese, and a wife. Name starts with a J. I see this in your future.
Yes, I'm definitely on track to have 3 morbidly obese children. I'm doing don't worry, I'm doing all the things right. We got fertility treatments going. I've got KFC on standby. It's gonna be great. But it's funny you mentioned that, Greg. You talked about like time is gonna pass anyway. I distinctly and very vividly remember my dad saying that to me in my early 20s. And I can't remember what the context was, but he obviously had the benefit of being 20 years older and further down the line. And he basically said, you're thinking about this based on what it's going to cost you in terms of like your comfort right now. He says, but time is going to pass anyway. It's going to be 2 years from now anyway. And in that time, you could have X, Y, and Z, or you can have the same thing you have right now by staying comfortable where you're at now. And that's a great way. That's an example of playing the long game. That's a long-term outlook on life.
There's the price, then there's the cost.
Yeah.
Which one are you willing to pay?
Yep.
I'll tell you, I'll pay the price. The cost sucks nuts on a hot day after a long run. Okay? That's a horrible option on every level. The price is way better because it's much shorter. It's bam. You pay it, boom, you get the reward.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Well, and Dan, you talked about like how people are not growing their businesses fast, and partially because they're not taking action, which is interesting because when most people think of work-life balance, they think of taking things slow. And that's not necessarily the best long-term strategy either, because you have working years where you have a lot of energy, and let's direct that energy towards growing something. That was one of the things that Chris Lockhead told me last year. He said, look, you've got, let's say 2 or 3 really big shots, big swings at the plate. Your 20s, 30s, 40s, where you can get in on the ground floor of something, build something that has the potential to be big, get on a category king that's on the upswing, right?
I put that moose head on the hood, Matt. Put the moose head on the hood.
Right. Thanks, Chris, for that. But he's like, most people go through life with no sense of urgency, because in the moment it feels like they have so long they don't have to worry about it. Like, that's the opposite of playing the long game. So that's what's interesting about playing the long game. Isn't about taking things slowly and having a more easy life. It's about looking back with the perspective from the perspective of the last year of your life, going, what did I wish I was doing when I was in my 40s that would set me up to live the life that I want now? That's a completely different mindset from just taking things slow and taking it easy.
No question. That kind of thinking helps me now, in that I'm 58 years old, and certainly have some regret, and I can look back at the things I've done successfully and the things that I've failed at, and by looking out there, it gives me a perspective. If I thought I was really going to be done in 13 years, that's a pretty morbid look at life, and because you could live a lot longer. And so I still have a lot of dreams and goals and places I want to see and things I want to do. And if I thought I've only have this many more years, I got to do them all today. And I don't think I will. I think I'll be able to do them over the next 30, 40 years. And that means I've got to, adjust some things in my life now so that I do live a long time. But it's really about making it to this bridge that's about 10, 15 years away, where you're going to be able to get everything fixed on you that's broken, and allow you to live a little bit longer.
Right. Greg's going to be a cyborg.
Oh my God, there are so many things. Alphabetical and numerical. Where do you want to start? This is like a candy store for me. But all jokes aside, Dan, how do you keep your mind on the long term? I personally, for all of you guys that are watching and listening to this later down, I have my goals book that I have. I wrote this in 2014. I morphed this thing continuously, adding, retracting, all kinds of things to it. But what I do is I always keep it in front of me. So for you, how are you not focusing like, well, when I hit 60 or 65 or 70 or 80, whatever that number is, I'm going to just pull the big ripcord in the sky and poof, I'm out of here. Goodbye, cruel world. How do you stay in that long-term mindset? A lot of us stay short-term mindset. So what is your trick to going long-term?
Well, I've got a life plan that I designed many years ago, and it's been pretty consistent with that. It involves my relationships, my health, my money, my career and aspirations, my causes, and I've stayed pretty close to that life plan. In 2008, when my wife passed away, I didn't plan for that at all. That really threw me off, and nowhere in my life plan did it have me being supporting children on my own and dealing with the loss of a loved one. That took a big adjustment. So from about 2009 to 2012, I spent a lot of my time redesigning my life plan. It just became a little bit different, and so I'm looking at the big picture constantly, and I back it down to what do I want to accomplish this year, this month, and today. And it's something I'm looking at it's the first thing I do and second thing I do in the morning that keeps me focused. I don't forget where I want to go. I'm looking at the map constantly.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
When you lost your wife unexpectedly, losing anyone that's close to you is got to be hard, but a spouse of that level, a lot of people go through tragedy, they go through heartache, they go through loss in life. What is that thing that kept you positive, or a series of things, or was it your deity? Was it your kids? Was it your work? What kept you moving? Because so many people that are in our industry go through life-altering scenarios on a daily, monthly, yearly basis that no one ever talks about publicly because they're they're hurting too much inside. If you are open and willing to talk about that, what kept you going? What kept you positive? What kept you looking long term instead of just curling up on the couch and just shutting off the lights and saying, "That's it, I'm done."
Right. So it happened so quick that you have to deal with what you have to deal with. You don't have a choice. I have two boys that were 17 and 19 at the time. I got my arms around them and had lots of friends and lots of support. And, quite frankly, I was lost for a period of time. It was just, somewhat of an empty feeling. And I never actually thought he would be the one to go. We had life insurance on me, and I'm the one that's working all the time, and she's the one happy and living life, and lost her. So after several years, with my boys landing on their feet and me finding love again, now that's when Dan started coming back, and that's why I feel where I'm at right now. It's a lot like I felt when I was in my 20s, just starting out. I feel like I'm just reinventing. So I guess the thing that kept me going is just trying to stay consistent with the life plan. So I got really involved in the cause. So she passed away from leukemia. So a couple of years later, I got involved with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, started cycling, built a team, and we became the largest corporate fundraiser for LLS in the country, beating companies like Blackstone. And so my passion became something dealing with the cause that caused the passing of my wife. So that kept me on that, and then over time that dwindled a little bit, and now I'm back doing what I love, running a business, great relationship with my boys, and in love again with my new wife.
Dude, that's awesome. You just described what so many people go through. You didn't let the adversity stop your long-term thinking. You had to pause. You dealt with it. You made sure the loved ones around you were okay. Then you got back on track with yourself, and you kept pushing. And even in sorry to hear that your wife passed, but it sounds like you're at a better place right now because you're even stronger, bigger, and more powerful mentally, physically, and emotionally than maybe where you would be if she was still with us. But you teach us, you show us how long-term thinking through tough adversity in life, it can be done.
You've got a couple choices. You fold up and die, or you move on. Having children help because you've got that responsibility, and time heals. And then when you find somebody you really love and you actually build upon your last life in improving the kinds of love, the things you do, the things you have in common. So my relationship with my wife right now couldn't be better. And also in 2008, when this tragedy happened, that's when the economy was plummeting. So I fortunately had really good managers running the branches, and so I could slip away from the business a little bit and take care of myself and my family.
Super important.
That's just how it went.
Yeah. That's another. We didn't get a chance to dive much into that, but I was thinking about that today, just like how much I appreciate a couple of the key people that I've hired both for the podcast business, and then especially the gal that produces the show, who's been with me the longest, is actually she was my assistant back at Viral Marketing way back in the day, and then has kind of followed me and has done several things within our kind of production business and stuff like that. It makes a huge difference in my life to have those types of people. Obviously we built great systems, and that's awesome. So there's a place for rock star systems, but to have rock star people running those rock star systems is like the ultimate combination. I mean, it's the ultimate level of freedom you can experience as a business owner, is to have those types of people that when something happens, it's not just so that you can run off to the beach and not work, but when something happens and you need to take a step back and you're not mentally in the place where you can really put 100% of your time, effort, and energy into the business keeps on going and people don't lose their jobs and everything's fine, the clients are taken care of, and all that good stuff happens, even if we're not putting the energy and effort and heart into it that we would like to. So yeah, just a quick shout out to my people and to your people for being really good at what they do.
Absolutely.
Wyatt's watching us right now. Big knuckles to you, player. But he comments, he goes, "Thank you for sharing that, Dan. My dad lost my mom when I was 5, and he never stopped pushing himself to better our lives growing up. He's the biggest inspiration that I have in business." And so, I mean, you have brought light to your sons' lives. They saw how Dad handled business when it needed to be handled. And I think that having a father like you, like I have a dad that pushes as well, that pushes through adversity and is my mentor and my like I want to be him in the future. Like he and I had a long talk yesterday about this. But I mean, your sons will never forget what you did, and they will model their future lives off of your tenacity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope so. I really do. I really hope. And with this event that occurred, I talk about playing the long game, but the opposite is so critical too. And I think that leads to the balance is, man, this shit can happen. I mean, we move every day like there is next week. We know we're going to be here in 3 minutes, probably. And we know next week. And the further out you go, you just don't know. That's where a lot of regret would come into play if, you lost somebody you loved right now, next week. I mean, this thing came on and 6 weeks later she's gone. And since then, being involved in Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, I'm seeing it every day. I'm seeing, little children, getting this disease. And just this week, I've had 3 friends, either their children, their parents, or their friend be diagnosed with leukemia. And it's hard, and we don't know what's next for us. So you got to live for today while you're playing the long game. I mean, it's be happy, have fun, go after it. Who cares if you stub your toe, fall on your knees, get up, go after your dreams.
Go talk to the hot chick at the bar. Don't be a pussy is basically what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Just
all of Dan's life advice boils down to that. Go talk to the hot chick at the bar. Thank you, Greg. Always sums things up so succinctly. Oh man, that's funny. Okay. Well, we're coming to the end of our time together. We want to honor your time, Dan, and I just want to quickly say. So first of all, you're kind of in. I don't want to say, I mean, you're roundabouts in the Bay Area, but tell people more specifically, like where your branches are, where you guys serve, and then we'll talk about how to connect with you.
Well, I've got one branch right now, and we're in Roseville, and I'm in the process of really rebranding. We just rebuilt our office and refurnished and hiring more people, and we're in the middle of Roseville and doing really well. Excited about the market. Historically, we've always done well when the market gets worse. In my opinion, it's really the best time to grow, best time to spend money, and so that's what we're doing.
Dude, I got to get you in touch with my boy Sean. Sean Smith. He's a very, very successful insurance agent. He's actually my insurance broker. He's also jumping into real estate. Matt, has joined our EXP team. But he's in Roseville as well, and he'd be a great contact because he'd be a great resource for any of the agents you work with, because he'll do open houses, he'll do all kinds of, he'll do door knocking, he'll do all kinds of crazy stuff, and you're right in the neck of the woods. I'll connect you guys off air.
I'd love to meet him.
Oh, and what's go ahead, Greg.
He's 6'5", my size. He's a trained fighter, so if he squares off to you, it's just his nature. Don't worry, he won't hurt you. He's like a big, he's like a big lamb. He's okay. If he listens to this, he's gonna hate.
That's right. I'm sure Dan, you just carry a baseball bat with you everywhere, so not an issue. All right, Dan. So what's the best way? So if you're an agent listening to this and you're in the Sacramento area and you might want to consider working with Partners Mortgage, what's the best way to just reach out and connect with you guys at the company level?
Well, I'd come to me at D Trinidad, Trinidad at partnersmortgage.com.
Perfect. Awesome. And then if people are looking for this type of coaching, like if they really resonate with what you have to say and they want somebody like you in their life reminding them of playing the long game and getting them to take the right kinds of action today, is that the same? Would you like them to reach out to you by email as well?
They're totally free to reach out by email. I've also got a personal email that's dantrinidad10@gmail.com. I'm happy to help anybody I can.
Perfect. All right, and then Dan, we are working on a podcast for you. We're going to be talking more about some of these topics with leaders from both the real estate and mortgage industry, and then some from outside, just personal friends, other leaders in other types of industries, people that have that same kind of long-term view. And so you'll be hearing more from Dan. And Dan, I know we'll bring you back on the show probably later this year and talk about kind of your experiences and just get an update from you and all that good stuff. But guys, keep an eye out for that. Those of you who are kind of following me and paying attention to my Facebook and that are maybe in the email list for the show, you'll see some of the announcements and stuff like that come when Dan's podcast is officially released. So keep an eye out for that stuff. Greg, speaking of the EXP team, how do people reach out to you and why should they reach out to you?
Well, they should call you, Matt. 402-442-1121. No. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys, and I am going to leave Matt's full number in different episodes, like different pieces of his number. So if you have to watch all the shows, it's like when you were a kid and you had to chase the candy truck around to get all your little pieces.
And my cell phone is the prize. Oh, I'm going to have to change my phone number.
And who calls him first and leaves him a message goes, I tracked you, Johnson. You've got to let me know when you actually talk to him. That'll be the most epically awesome thing ever. But in all seriousness, what I want you guys to do is go to bookmcdaniel.com. So go to bookmcdaniel.com and get 30 minutes with me. Let's see if you're the right fit for the EXP team. Let's see if I'm the right fit for you, vice versa. But if you guys are looking to build wealth, not just a paycheck, you've got to check us out. I'm super fucking serious about this. Stop pussyfooting around. Go to bookmcdaniel.com if you want to talk about EXP, if you want to expand your wealth. And I'm really serious about this, guys. There are guys that are doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of deals, and they come over to EXP every single day. So please take this seriously. We're not just doing this to hear ourselves talk. Well, at least I'm not. Matt does sometimes. But it's okay. We still love him. The look he's giving me, he's like, what? But go to bookmcdaniel.com, get 30 minutes. Do it now. Well, not now. After the podcast. Good Lord. I mean, people have some etiquette. Gosh.
Okay. All right. Anyway, I will follow that up with a couple of recommendations. Number one, Wise Hire. We just had Jay on the show, the CEO, great guy, essentially the inventor of the DISC assessment. Amazing tool. For figuring out yourself and your own profile and how to work with others and communicate with others better. So if you're looking to hire people, as both Dan and I are, check out Wise Hire. And then our good buddy Jeff Combs, been on the show several times, broadcasts his weekly Wednesday and Friday agent trainings in full high-def audio and video. You can join in on that at erslivestream.com for the ridiculously low price of $17. It is awesome. It's literally the best pure agent training I've seen out there on the market. And so it is one of the benefits that you get when you join up and link arms with us on our team. But if you're not moving in that direction, you're happy with where you're at, but you want to get some additional training for yourself, or if you're a team leader and you want to get additional training for your agents, this is a great way to do that. So check that out at erslivestream.com. And then for the show, make sure to subscribe, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, whatever your preferred platform. And we love ratings and reviews, and we love that you share the show. We really appreciate and love everyone for that.
Matt, we love 5-star ratings and reviews. That's what we love. We love 5-star ratings.
You can mix in a 4-star. It makes it seem more genuine. Yeah. No. People are more trusting when they see the occasional 4-star review with a little bit of a critique of mostly Greg.
Okay, 4-star. I'm going to be 5-star. All right, you're 4-star.
Okay.
But I got to read this comment. Paul Franklin. Honey, it's not my fault. Greg told me to talk to the hot chick at the bar. So,
That is a great place to end the show. And let's put a nice bow on this one.
Oh my God, Dan, you are awesome, man. Thank you for sharing some seriously intimate
Thanks for having me.
stuff. It's been amazing to have you here. You've dropped some great knowledge on us. We all have a lot of thinking to do over the weekend in regards to long-term thinking, long-term goal, long-term success. You know, hearing your trials and tribulations, but your ultimate, you know, your life is thriving at the end of your road. You're an inspiration to all of us. So thank you for your time here. Matt,
Thanks for having me.
you goofball. It's always good hanging out with you. And for all of you crazy kids out there, I love you. All right. Now, until next time, peace out, ninjas. We gone.